It's not about willpower. It's not about morality. And it's certainly not about being a saint. There is a small subset of people, quiet, observant, who have tried to engage with pornography, only to find that their brain simply refuses to play along. It doesn't offer them the rush it offers others. It feels hollow, performative, or even unsettling. If that is you, you've likely wondered, what is wrong with me? Let's look at the psychology of why, for some, the door never opens. The lived experience is one of alienation. You sit in a culture that speaks of lust as a universal, uncontrollable tide. Friends joke about it. Algorithms assume it. Yet when you look, you feel nothing but a sense of wrongness. You don't see connection, you see a transaction. You don't feel arousal, you feel a strange detachment, as if you were watching a nature documentary about a species you don't belong to. Psychologically, this isn't repression. Repression requires a force to push something down. What you're experiencing is the absence of the pull. You are not broken. In personality theory, specifically within the Big Five model, this is often linked to the trait of openness to experience, but not in the way you think. High openness usually correlates with sensation seeking, but there is a specific subtrait called aesthetic sensitivity. For the brain wired with high aesthetic sensitivity, authenticity is a prerequisite for engagement. Pornography, by its very nature, is a construct. It is a staged performance. And to a brain that craves real emotional resonance, a performance feels like static. Let's look under the hood. Your brain runs on a system called predictive coding. Every second, your brain is predicting what will happen next to save energy. When you watch a video, your brain is scanning for genuine cues of connection, pupil dilation, microexpressions, authentic vulnerability. But in pornography, these cues are missing. Your brain's mirror neurons, the cells responsible for empathy and vicarious experience, fire off a warning signal. They say, this is not real. These are actors. There is no safety here. But for most people, the dopamine hit from the visual novelty overrides this warning. But for you, the anterior cingulate cortex, the brain's error detection center, lights up like a fire alarm. The dissonance between the visual stimulus and the lack of authentic connection is so loud that the reward system simply shuts down. So how do you work with this brain? Not by forcing it to fit in, but by understanding its architecture. Here are 3 psychological principles to anchor you. First, honor the input sensitivity. Your brain has a higher threshold for salience. It doesn't respond to explicit content, it responds to implicit tension. This isn't a deficit. It means your brain is wired for nuance. Stop trying to force it to enjoy the blunt instrument. It won't. Second, differentiate conceptual from visual. In neuroscience, there is a split between the ventral striatum, visual reward, and the conceptual network, meaning-making. Most people are driven by the visual. You are driven by the conceptual. If you cannot construct a narrative of safety, trust, and authenticity in your mind, your physiology will not follow. Your brain requires context before chemistry. Third, leverage the authenticity threshold. Research into sexual concordance shows that for a significant portion of the population, particularly those with high interoceptive awareness, sensitivity to internal body states, arousal is blocked by perceived insincerity. Instead of asking, is this stimulating? Ask, does this feel true? If it feels staged, your brain will treat it as a threat to your emotional integrity. Here is the simple mental model. Think of your mind as a cup of water. For most people, that water is easily colored by whatever is poured into it. Visuals enter, the water changes hue instantly. But for you, the water is already full. It's not full of resistance, it's full of meaning. To change the color, the new input must be purer, more authentic, and more resonant than what is already there. You don't reject pornography because you are repulsed by sexuality. You reject it because your brain holds sexuality as too sacred, too neurologically significant to be reduced to a thumbnail on a screen. So let go of the pressure to be normal. The absence of that desire is not a void. It is a filter. It is your brain's way of protecting your capacity for deep, authentic connection. You don't need to fix what isn't broken. You simply need to stop judging the quietness of your own mind by the noise of the crowd. Trust the silence. It's telling you the truth.